Hey guys, it's GHP, and welcome to our new version of deck techs. So, we're going to be changing up how we make decks, or at least how I'm going to present them. We are still going to be playing 5 games with the deck, but instead of just coming here and showing you a final product of a deck, I'm going to be building the deck in the video. So what you'll get to see is my thought process for building decks, why I build them in each way, what cards I like, what cards end up getting considered but cut, and then you could also find out if my idea is an absolute total failure in the games. So today I decided we should start with one of the things that really put me on the map when it comes to as a deck builder, and we're going to be rebuilding Fire, Time, Justice, Midrange / Control, also known as Heart of Icaria. So what this deck was a Fire, Time, Justice deck that had a pretty greedy influence base. It played 4 Heart of the Vaults, some Icarias, some Rises, some Titans, and it simply just tried to play good cards on each turn in the game that ended up being better than your opponents. This was a deck that was hard to build. I found it quite interesting to play, deciding if you want Marshal, things like that. So what I'm going to do right now is put some of the obvious cards I want in here. Some of those cards are going to be like Siraf, Torches, some Vanquish, but we don't need to know numbers yet. That's not important. We need to decide if we want to replay Marshal main, and I think the correct answer is no, but that I'm not entirely certain about. So, let's see what cards that we could be playing when we're trying to generate value. I know we're going to want probably some Great Parliaments, probably at least one Enforcer. We want to have some good Rise targets too, so we're definitely going to play like a Shatterglass Mage. We want some number of Icaria, probably like 2. I've seen someone playing this deck in the ETS recently. Could my Icaria please go in my deck? And what they played was 3 Heart, 3 Icaria. I'm not sure that's correct purely because I think Icaria is better than Heart of the Vault in this deck. Or, sorry, Heart of the Vault's better than Icaria in this deck. I don't think we're aggressive enough for Awakened Student. I think we're going to want Desert Marshal. We may want 1 copy of Stand Together main. We don't want many, though. We are just a grindy deck. I think our Reality Warden is worth playing as a one-of. I want some Parliament. Like, this is just a decent Rise target against certain decks. And that's something you need to keep in mind when you build this deck, is what cards are really good Rise targets. I would definitely consider it 1 duo, but I think that might be a card we cut in the final build. I don't think we need Moment. I like Diogo. So I like Diogo because there's not a lot of good charge units that you're going to want to play in this archetype, but he is one of your best late game power sinks, so that's what this deck does, is it uses its power so well. That I think I'm okay with playing a Diogo. I think just the 1 is fine, just because it's like a cheaper Icaria. 1 or 2 Purify is probably okay. We could look at a Sword the Sky King. We may end up wanting Marshal. So what other cards are we heavily missing? What of seem good? So the last time I built this deck, we didn't have Worldbearer Behemoth, and I don't know if I want them. I think Ironthorn's a great Rise target. Makes casting like Heart easier if you only have 1 Justice. 1 Fire influence. Or 1 Time, I guess. So let's see what else we really want to be playing with. I don't think we need a card like Inquisitor's Blade. We could look at a Runehammer, just the 1 because it's a good Rise target. I think Enforcers we're considering in some numbers. I'm sure there are cards we currently have in the deck that won't make the final cut either. We're going to need more power than this. I know one of the cards I'm going to put in is Acolyte. I'm going to take a moment, discuss Icaria. Not only are we going to struggle to get 6 Justice, but we aren't actually that Justice heavy. We'd rather cast Heart of the Vault than Icaria. We're more trying to get Praxis Influence Allied. To where getting the 3rd Justice off of that Icaria is not great. Yes, it makes Sorry. It makes Icaria, the 7-mana one, easier to cast, but it's not particularly great. I think Carnosaur is worth considering. So we'll put 1. I like Mystic Ascendant as a 1-of. I like Infuser. I like World Bearer. World Bearers probably has to be more than a 1-of if you're going to play them. But right, because you don't want to rise for it. But it's just a card I'm considering. I think Venom Rider's very good in this type of deck. As it's the only creature removal spell you can rise for. Even though Runehammer exists, is not great. I think you could play Uber Reclaimer, but I don't think it's good. One card we could discuss heavily is Secret Pages. We're probably going to be based pretty heavy on our 3-drops and 4-drops in this deck, which means I don't want Secret Pages as much. I would rather play Trailmaker, which I think we're going to end up playing 4 Trailmakers. I want one Ember Acolyte in any deck that has Rise, as you can Rise for a power then. You could play Scribe, I think it's fine. I think Trailmaker's better in this deck, and I don't think you can realistically play both. I don't think you want Power Stone because it's hard to cast. I think you want Find the Way, because you need more power. I don't mind playing a very power-heavy deck for this style. So any fire cards we want, we could look at a Great Queen Titan because we have a lot of good hits. The only issue is you don't want to rise for it, but let's put 1 here for now. We definitely don't want more than 1. If you could rise for Stoker, I would play it, like, without thinking twice. But you can't rise for Stoker, and that means I don't want it. I know before this deck fell out of favor when Set 3 came out, some people were looking at a Fire Maw and Obliterate version. I don't think Fire Maw is great in this deck, as you are built to hit your power drops, and our 4-drops are already so good, but I think we could consider it. I don't think we want Obliterate. I don't think Obliterate's a good card these days. Alright, is there anything else we want to look at? I don't think you want to play anything like Miner's Musket or any of the Gridinans for early blockers. Your aggro matchup is pretty fine, just because you have good blockers and good removal. So that's all of our options. Okay. I don't think I missed anything, so let's start looking at cuts, and numbers and things like that. So, one thing I think people are going to say about this deck is they want World Bearer Behemoth, and I think it's probably wrong to play any copies of World Bearer Behemoth. I think this card is too weak, and too hard to cast. All of our creatures that cost 5 or more generate value or are a hosing card against the matchup. When I say hosing, I specifically mean Reality Warden, as there are decks that may struggle to beat this. So I'm not a big fan of anything costing 5 or more that doesn't do something when it enters in some way. So I don't like World Bearer. Waystone gets me power, if that makes sense. So right now we're playing 32 power plus 4 Trailmakers, which don't really count as power. So there's some interesting cards here. I think Fireball you play as a 4 of or you play as a none of. I don't think our curve is, like, we could get to our top end reasonably. I like 1 Mystic Ascendant because it's worse than Heart of the Vault, but it's okay to find because it's the 5th Heart of the Vault. So let's cut the Fire Maw. I think we can cut Duo. I just don't, like, our grindy matchups are very good. I think our aggro matchups are fine. We don't have a lot of life gain though, which leads me to wonder if I want to play Combat Healer in this deck, which is definitely an option. I just don't know what I'd want for it. I also think we're going to end up cutting Enforcer, as we normally have enough removal, and our threats tend to be better than most things that need to get silenced. And I think Purify is probably going to do that job better. So let's cut Duo and let's cut Enforcer. Now the next things I want to look at. Is Great Queen Titan good? Do I want Combat Healer? Do I want more Purify? Do I want more Vanquish? Do I want more Rise? Things like that. I like my one-ofs a lot. I could definitely see cutting Waystone Infuser for like another Ironthorn, and that's something that I think happens in testing. You find out which is better. I don't think you rise for Waystone Infuser very often. You do rise for Ironthorn sometimes, because when you flood, that's a hot thing to find. So let's see on numbers. Carnosaur is in the category of Venom Rider, where it's a riseable kill spell. I think the Great Clay Titan is just maybe potentially too over the top. Like, a lot of our cards aren't great to get off of it. Obviously, you know, you hit Hard the Vault and you're like, my life is amazing right now. But I don't know if Great Clay Titan actually does enough in this situation. And I think we already have enough late game, and I think I want to cut it. I could very easily see ourselves wanting to play this card in a different build of this deck with some extra ramp maybe. But then you're playing Charge Rod if you want to do that, I think. So the last cut I'm going to try to make. And do I want like a third rise? I don't want more than that because they're clunky. I'm not convinced Carnosaur is very good. I'm also not convinced Venom Rider is very good, but I think I want one of them, but not the other. So Venom Rider is castable early, and that's a big deal. The problem is if you rise for it, you have to then pay 9 to make it an actual kill spell, where Carnosaur costs 6. I don't want to really spend 13 mana for a kill spell in total if I'm going to rise for it. So I think Venom Rider might be worse than Carnosaur, although curve considerations might matter. So this is one of those changes I think we'll look at later. So I'm going to start with this as our 50. So let's build a power base. So first of all, I want to see what crest we have access to, because I never remember. We have the Praxis crest, and that's it. So that's obviously a 4 of. And then we need to look at our influence requirements. So, to note, all of our fixing is in time. So we need to slant towards time in the early game. And our early game double colors are Titan and Runehammer. I guess we have double by on turn 4 in all of our colors. But realistically, we care mostly about our time and Titan, as that's the best 4-drop. Now, if we look up here, we have mostly time, and then we're very close on Fire Justice. So we're favored time. Yes, I'd like to save this deck. And that makes sense. So one thing I always do in these decks is make sure I play enough sigils. Basically, if you were going to seek power for every influence in your deck, how much would you need? And in this case, we need 3 time, 3 fire, 3 justice. So I'm going to first just put the sigils in. At least 3 of each. And I'm probably going to play another one. Because now we have 9 sigils, and that's fine. I don't particularly like banners. Not in a deck like this, because this deck isn't a deck that can curve a lot of the time. And because of that, you don't get to use your banners as effectively as other decks. So I'd rather stay towards seats. To note, I don't think we can play Waystones, and we definitely don't care about monuments. So let's look at seats. So we have room to play 12 seats right now. So in theory, we could just play all 12 of these and move on with our life. Now, do I want the extra sigils? I do. I think I want a 4th time sigil to help ensure the early game. And then we can look at playing these. So I think we want the 4 Praxis. And then, what one do we want to play 3 of? So, fire is our least important color when it comes to the amount of it in the deck. It also has the crest, which, so I think I want to play 3 of the fire seat that we currently are playing, which is Gory, at 4 seated progress. So, this is our starting deck. After game 5, if we have anything we want to change, I will show it to you there. But for now, guys, let's go jump into some games with this version of Fire Time Justice Midrange, also known as Heart of Icaria.